Good morning. Happy Easter. I just got out of bed, having a coffee. We had ham yesterday, so I have pea soup cooking on the stove. So I thought I would read a story. Easter Sunday equals pea soup Monday in my house. So I'm going to read a little story to start the day. I hope everybody has a magnificent Easter. I hope whatever tradition your family celebrates, that you celebrate it well. And the kids have a beautiful day, and I love you all. Miss my grandchildren. This book, and because it's so sunny in here, my video isn't great. Peter Rabbit. This is a book that my sister and I had when we were little, that I still have in my very small library here. This book came out in 1963. I was born in 64. My sister was born in 1962. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits named Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree in the forest. One day, Mrs. Rabbit decided to go to the bakery and shop. "Now run along, my dears, and don't get into any mischief," she said. "You may go into the fields, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor." Then Mrs. Rabbit took her basket and umbrella and went through the woods to the baker's. She bought a lot of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little rabbits, went off to gather blackberries. I pick blackberries in my dad's junkyard every August. And I make pie. I call it junkyard pie. And my mom makes jam. We call it junkyard jam. But Peter, who was naughty, ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed underneath the gate. First he ate some lettuce, then some French beans, then some radishes. Feeling rather sick, he went in a little farther to look for Parsley Patch. Uh-oh. He certainly was having a good meal. Around the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? He was planting cabbage. Uh-oh, look at the look on Mr. McGregor's face. He did not like seeing him there. Mr. McGregor jumped up and ran after Peter, waving his rake and shouting, "Stop, you thief!" Peter was very frightened. He scurried all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. In his fright, he lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other one among the potatoes. Poor Peter gave himself up for lost and cried bitterly. Great tears trickled down his pink nose. His sobs were heard by some friendly sparrows who flew down to him. "Try harder, Peter," they urged. Mr. McGregor tiptoed up behind Peter with a sieve, which he intended to pop over Peter's head. But Peter wriggled free just in time, leaving his almost new jacket behind. Oh boy. Peter rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a sprinkling can. Splash! It was half filled with very cold water. Mr. McGregor came to the tool shed searching for Peter. He looked underneath all the flower pots and was about to leave when kerchoo! Peter sneezed. Mr. McGregor ran toward the sprinkling can, but Peter leaped out through the window, upsetting 3 plants. Mr. McGregor shook his fist after the frightened rabbit. Then he gave up and went back to planting his cabbage. Thank goodness. Peter should have listened to his mom, huh? Peter was very tired and also very damp. He wanted his mother. Imagine that. He wandered about looking everywhere for a way out of the garden. At last he found a door in the wall, but it was locked. There was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. Remember the hole he had to squeeze through to get in? And then he ate. Then he got fat. Fat and happy go together, and he was fat and not happy. After a time, he met an old mouse carrying peas and beans to her family in the woods. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth she could not answer. Peter began to cry. Look at her. She had a big pea in her mouth. That's funny. Then he saw a white cat staring at some goldfish swimming in a pond. He did not ask her the way out, for he had heard all about cats from his cousin Benjamin Bunny. Peter began to cry again. He was very frightened and very tired. He wanted his mama. Suddenly he heard the scritch-scratch from Mr. McGregor's hoe. He looked out from under the bushes and saw a wheelbarrow. Ever so quickly he climbed into the wheelbarrow and peeped over. There was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions, and just behind him was the gate. There's Mr. McGregor hoeing his onions. Peter crept up behind Mr. McGregor and ran to the gate. He slipped under it quickly and dashed away home. Mr. McGregor was very angry that Peter had gotten away. He took the blue jacket with the big brass buttons and Peter's shoes to make a scarecrow to frighten away the blackbirds. Oh, good idea, Mr. McGregor. As for Peter, he never stopped running until he got home to the big fir tree. When he reached it, he was so tired that he flopped down on the soft sand floor and fell asleep. His mother was busy making supper. She looked at Peter and wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second pair of shoes he'd lost in a week. Oh, he's a naughty bunny. That night, Peter had such a stomachache, his mother put him to bed and made him some chamomile tea. She made Peter drink some of it. The end. He was back home with his mom, and his mom was taking care of him. What a good end to the story. So happy Easter. I got up too late to go to Mom's and watch the flag raising ceremony, which I wanted. I did watch it on live. And right about now, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. The Groveton Fire Department is taking the Easter Bunny around town. So make sure you get in the windows and look for the Easter Bunny, because he's going to be going all around town, waving at you. Talk to you all soon. Happy Easter.